The room is barely bigger than a generous living room, ceiling low enough that the sax player's notes seem to brush against it before curling back down around our shoulders. Paper lanterns float in warm clusters above the tiny stage, tinting everything with a soft amber that makes even the scuffed floorboards look romantic. We squeeze into a table near the front, knees almost touching the next couple over, and the clink of glasses blends with the tuning of the bass, the gentle thump of the drummer testing a snare with feathery strokes. The singer steps up to the mic with the calm of someone who knows that magic does not need spectacle, just honesty and a little courage. And when she opens her mouth, the first note settles over the room like a silk scarf landing on an upturned palm. You close your eyes, letting the rhythm slip under your skin, each cymbal brush smoothing out a crease you didn't know your heart was carrying. In this snug, flickering half-darkness, the outside world shrinks to a rumor distant and slightly unreal, as if the door at the back leads not to a busy street but to some gentler dimension. Between songs, the band trades glances that speak of years of playing together, of trust built one gig at a time. And the audience replies with small, sincere bursts of applause, never breaking the spell. Sitting here with your hand wrapped around mine, I understand suddenly that the paradise we chase might just be a room exactly like this, modest, imperfect, but filled with people willing to listen closely and love what they hear. The slow train curls around the hills like a careful sentence. Every care's a quiet comma stretching out the afternoon, and the tracks hum in a key that somehow fits the low tune. Your honey under your breath feels unfold outside the window, stitched with stone walls and wandering trees, and the sky wings close, a big attentive listener. You rest your head against the rattling frame, eyes half closed, and the reflection of your face hangs over rolling clothes like a ghost that has decided to live. We left behind in boxes and traffic lanes, and the sharp angles of glass towers, trading them for this patient sway. The soft percussion of wheels over real joints, each click a reminder that movement does not always have to mean urgency. In the distance, a small town gathers itself around a steeple, and a cluster of rooftops like people huddling no countdowns, just the promise that somewhere up ahead, not far and not quite near, there's a station where stepping onto the platform will feel like arriving in a story we have been writing quietly all along. When the shop is closed and the sign in the window flips to its sleepy side, the greenhouse keeps breathing in secret. Glass walls fog with the day's remembered warmth. You unlock the side door with a soft click, and suddenly the night is full of green leaves catching the moon in 100 small mirrors. Soil holding the scent of rain that hasn't fallen yet. We weave between rows of sleeping plants, the air thick with chlorophyll and possibility. And somewhere in the corner a little radio plays an old jazz standard. Its signal a bit fuzzy, but its heart perfectly clear. You touch the edge of a leaf like you're greeting a friend, and I watch your face relax, all hard lines dissolving into something gentle, almost childlike. Outside, the world is busy measuring success in numbers and noise, but in here growth is counted in quiet centimeters, and new buds that appear without announcement. You say this place feels like what people meant when they first dreamed of a flawless garden, but more honest, because here some petals brown at the tips and some stems bend a little too far before they learn to stand. I smile, thinking how we have been doing the same, season after season, bending, almost breaking, then somehow finding a new direction toward the light. The glass roof hums softly as the temperature shifts, and the shadows of broad leaves sway across our faces like slow dancers at the end of the night. Wrapped in this humid, murmuring dark, we realized that perfection was never the point. It was always about finding a corner where we are allowed to keep growing gently in our own time. By the time we step out into the cool night, the streets have quieted to a soft murmur, as if the whole city is exhaling at once, relieved to be done performing for the day. We walk without speaking at first, shoes tapping a lazy syncopation on the sidewalk. Leftover melodies from the evening still looping in the back of our minds. A stray cat watches us from a doorstep, eyes half closed, clearly unconcerned with our human need to name every feeling, to chart every joy and sorrow on some invisible map. You say that for years you thought the place you were searching for would arrive as a grand reveal. A gate swung wide declaring that all storms were officially over. But tonight, after so many small, gentle moments stitched together, the quiet river, the balcony wind, the rain-lit bar, the slow train, the sunroom, the bus, the greenhouse, the dim club, it occurs to you that maybe there is no separate country of perfect comfort waiting at the horizon. Maybe we have been smuggling it with us all along, seed by seed, song by song, tucked into pockets and folded into the lining of our ordinary days. I listen, feeling something inside me unclench, like a fist finally remembering it can be a hand under a street lamp dusted with moths. We stop just long enough to really see each other, unhurried, unafraid. The night does not change, but we do a little, realizing that the gentlest refuge is the one we make together and bring home, wherever home happens to be. The last bus sighs when its doors fold open, like it knows it is carrying the day's leftover stories, the ones too shy or too tired to ride in the bright crowded hours. Streetlights blur into long ribbons on the wet asphalt as we climb aboard, dropping coins into the box with a clink that sounds strangely musical in the near empty space. You choose a seat near the back where the heater hums a soft drone beneath the whisper of the engine, and I slide in beside you, our shoulders meeting with the easy familiarity of a well-rehearsed chord. The city outside drifts past in slow vignettes, a closed flower shop, a cat on a windowsill, a lone figure smoking under a flickering neon sign, each scene lasting just long enough to feel like a note in some sprawling nocturne. Overhead, the dull buzz of the lights and the low rumble of the motor fall into an accidental rhythm that might as well be a drum pattern, and in my head a bass line joins in, followed by a lazy piano stretching into soft swing. You lean your forehead against the glass and say that sometimes you wish life had more in between spaces like this. Not quite departure, not yet arrival, suspended between obligations. I nod, feeling the bus rock us through a gentle curve, thinking about how every mythic perfect land was always somewhere else later. Never riding public transit after midnight, yet here in this fluorescent cocoon, rolling toward the quieter side of town, we find a pocket of unclaimed time, just enough to breathe, to listen, to let the tired days slip off without to fight. Winter presses its cool palm against the outside world, but in this little sunroom the air turns to liquid gold, streaming through tall glass panes that hold back the frost like a gentle but firm refusal. Dust motes dance in slow circles above the rug, keeping time with the lazy swing of the record spinning in the corner where a trumpet croons over a bed of soft piano and bass. You sit cross-legged on the floor in an oversized sweater, hands wrapped around a mug that sends up tiny ghosts of steam, and the warmth rises to paint your cheeks with a quiet glow. We spread old photographs between us, edges curled, color soften, each one a doorway into a different season. A reminder that we have survived storms before and grown new leaves afterward. Outside, bare branches scribble dark lines against the silver sky, but in here they only make the sunlight look brighter, framing it like a picture we were always meant to hang on this exact wall. You say there must be a name for the feeling of being completely safe, but not bored, sheltered, yet still awake to every detail. And I think of ancient words about gardens and promises about rest that does not require escape. The kettle whistles once sharply, then falls silent, as if even it understands that loudness has no place in this scene. Wrapped in the soft insistence of jazz and the steady comfort of your breathing nearby, this small room becomes a warm, bright island where winter may knock politely on the glass, but never quite comes in. Begins without ceremony, just a shy tapping on the bar's wide window, turning streetlights into impressionist smears of gold and red. And suddenly the world outside looks softer, outlines blurred, like they finally gave themselves permission to rest. Inside, the bartender polishes a glass in slow rhythm with the drummer's brushes, the snare whispering circles that make the whole room breathe in unison, a shared unhurried pulse. You sit across from me in a pool of amber light, tracing patterns in a ring of spilled water, and every shape you make feels like a quiet spell to keep worry at the door. The pianist leans into a minor chord that still somehow smiles, and a saxophone folds folds in from the corner, all velvet curves and late night forgiveness. We talk about nothing urgent, just favorite meals and books with cracks behind. The small artifacts that prove we have lived more than we remember. And with each story, the storm outside sounds less like a threat, more like applause for our stubborn tenderness. Feels less than enough, and I watch raindrops race each other down the glass as if they know exactly what you mean. Maybe that place is not on any map, but hidden in evenings like this, where music, weather, and warm light become a temporary shelter. And two tired souls discover that for a little while, right here is already close to perfect. City below keeps talking in small bright dots of light, but up here on the balcony, the volume is turned way down, like someone laid a velvet cloth across the noise. A lazy ceiling fan inside sends stripes of shadow across the floor, and the sliding door stands half open, letting piano notes wander out to join the hazy air. You curl your fingers around a cool glass, condensation tracing slow paths like tiny rivers on your skin. And the distant sirens sound more like part of the arrangement than a warning softened by height and time. We have both carried days that felt too heavy, stacked with lists and glowing screens and questions with no clear answers. But tonight we let them slip off one by one, like shoes by the door, like jackets on the back of chairs. The moon hangs low, wide and unhurried, a spotlight without urgency. And for a moment the railing becomes the edge of some suspended garden. Nothing above but open sky, nothing below but memories trying to turn into stories. You laugh about how we keep waiting for a perfect world to arrive, wrapped and labeled, when maybe the trick is noticing the small mercies already here. The way your hand finds mine without searching, the way the breeze tastes clean, even this high up. As the clock nudges past midnight, we stay where we are, in the soft swing of our own rhythm, letting this fragile balcony feel like the safest stage on earth, a quiet high place where the tired heart can rest and still be fully awake. taking its time to tell. Long stories and ripples while the bridges lean over like old friends, listening in your shoes, dangle just above the surface, catching bits of evening light. And the breeze folds jazz chords into the air, the kind you feel more than you analyze. Blue and gold at the same time. A trumpet from some unseen window sends out a wandering phrase, and the river answers in quiet harmony, as if every stone beneath the current has learned to hum along. You lean back on your hands and say that if there is a doorway to a kinder version of the world, it must sound like this, half laughter, half lullaby, tied together with a gentle shiver of reeds along the shore. I watch your reflection wobble on the water, haloed by neon from a distant sign, and I think of old myths about paradises that were always far away, always after, never now, never here. But your shoulder finds mine, easy as breathing, and a small boat drifts by with no particular destination, and the sky forgets to darken all omens, choosing instead a slow dissolve through lavender and silver. In that patient fading, this ordinary riverbank becomes a secret threshold where tired hearts may sit down, trade their burdens for a quiet song, and decide to stay a little longer than planned. Morning pours like gentle honey on the quiet roofs of town, and the traffic hum turns into a sleepy kind of choir, soft and far away while you trace steam on your coffee cup, and I pretend not to watch you smile at nothing in particular. Just the simple fact of being here, breathing air that feels freshly washed, like someone rinsed the sky at dawn and left it out to dry. We walk the narrow street where vines lean down from balconies, leaves glimmering like tiny glass notes in a private jazz progression, and every step on the pavement sounds a little like brushed cymbals and low bass strings warming up under the day. There is a bench where the city forgets to be hurried. itself remembers lovers' names and quiet tears and secret jokes, and we sit there letting the moment lengthen without apology, stretching like a cat in a sun patch. You say this almost feels unreal, like we slipped through a crack between hours and landed where worries cannot follow. And I laugh because the word for that is whispered in old stories about a garden that never quite existed the way people think it did, a promise more than a place. Yet here we are, skin and shadow, mug and map, building our own version out of shared silence and slow heartbeat, a hidden orchard between one